Well, it's time to put the plow back on and do some wiring for the winch. I got some lights. I might see if I can wire those up and possibly figure out the throttle cable situation. But I'm going to start with the plow. Alright, so I was kind of thinking maybe run all these wires. There's a hole right here in the dash. Might be able to run all these wires right through it and just let it hang out. Maybe give it some wiggle room so then I could hold it up here. I think that should be enough wiggle room. So the two short wires are the ones for the winch itself, which I think is weird, because in this situation I need the opposite. But I'll have to make it work. It's positive. Sweet. So I'm going to put it in there so then the leads or terminals, whatever you want to call them, are away from the metal dash so it doesn't hit that and arc. Gotta get yourself one of these 600 piece black cable ties, $10 or something for this whole thing. And yeah, they're cheap and they're gonna break, but still nice to have. Well, hopefully you could see that okay on the time lapse. I just kind of wired everything up with zip ties. Up here at the winch, got the wires coming up, and I zip tied them to the hood support, and I'm hoping that they're far enough away from the exhaust that the exhaust isn't going to melt this. If it does, I can always put some kind of heat tape or something on there. Everything kind of converges right here. And then I kind of spooled up what was left of the power wires and just tucked them in there. I don't think they're going to go anywhere, but I can add more zip ties if I need to. Then the controller just comes out of this hole, and I gave it wiggle room so then you can pull it out if need be. Hoping those battery terminals don't hit. That alone isn't too bad when you're plowing. I'm still not sure what I think about the color of this plow. I can't decide if I like it or not. I did that for a few reasons. One, I had a little bit of black paint left, a little bit of red. So I used up both of the cans on this plow, using black on the back and red on the front. And I thought with the red on the front, then it would make it easier to see the dirt that's being pushed. Since this one, dirt just kind of blends in with the front of the plow since it's dark. And I can always paint that all black if I need to. So I got to put this throttle cable in. Got this on eBay for $9. I love this style. They just work really well. They're heavy duty. Really not cheap at all. Like some of the ones you see at Tractor Supply and wherever. And Sears, at least these models, this style lines right up on the dash. And it did come with 2 little bolts there. Screws, whatever you call them. And it's kind of dark, so it's probably hard to see. There is a hole down there that the end of this cable can go through, and I think it's gonna work. So when you move the cable, it'll push that out, making the throttle go up. So I'm gonna see if I can't snake this in there and cinch it down. That should work if I get this cinched down somewhere. So looking at this, I have this U-bolt that supports my exhaust stack on there. And I was actually gonna cut it shorter just because it didn't need to be this long, because I can't even get a socket to reach the nut on here. So I was gonna cut it shorter. But I'm glad I didn't, because this gives me basically just something to like clamp onto, and I have a cable clamp that I think would work. It's not gonna like look pretty or anything, but so here's what I got. I got that cable bolt thing in there good and tight, but when I try to throttle up, instead of pushing that forward, it just bows the hole. And I have a solution for that, but it's not super professional. When in doubt, zip ties. Perfect. Cut these off so they're sharp and dangerous. I am curious if there's enough engine heat to actually like melt these or burn these, since they're made of plastic or whatever. That's low idle, and that's high idle. That tab is bent, that's why it's not meeting that adjustment screw right there, but it's a lot better than leaning forward and messing with it while you're on it. So I bought these lights really cheap on Amazon. And I want to wire them into this tractor just so it can run off the battery. I'm not doing anything fancy. I thought I'd just mount them up on this homemade grill. And I have an idea, so I'm just gonna see if it works. I had bought a toggle switch, a fuse, and some fuses. I don't know how necessary the fuse is, but I'm doing it anyway. And these cheap mounts for the light, I had to find some bolts that I had, because the bolts that are in this are too short to go through my square tubing. I got some connectors and whatnot too. Wire. I am in no way acclimated to the cold yet this year. Everybody's already getting a cold because of the change in temperature outside, including myself. Which is crazy because it was 100 degrees a couple weeks ago. There you go. Ah, that's nice. You wouldn't think that something this small would make a difference, but it really does. Obviously, when it's below zero, it barely does anything, but it'll warm this entire garage up in not a lot of time. Whoops. Harbor Freight drill bits. This is so thin. So that was a really rough wire job down there, but do a little test here. Make sure everything's okay. Seems to work just fine. So I got everything wired in. Got all the wiring kind of tucked away the best that I can on this hood support. Same thing I did on the other side with the winch wires. I had to coil some up. I used too much wire. I tend to do that. But I have the switch there. I have 2 positive wires going to that. The bottom wire goes to the positive terminal. The top wire is the positive wire that goes to the lights, and same thing with the negative. The lights are connected with the negatives, and the negative runs up to the negative post on the battery. I did put a fuse thing in there and a 5 amp fuse. And I'll tell you right now, I don't know anything about wiring. I have no idea if this is right or not, but seems to work pretty good. And these lights were cheap. They were like $8 a piece or something. I can't remember, but put this down. Pretty bright. This camera really lights up the dark in here, but not bad. This poor battery is gonna have to get charged all the time. Well, this Sears is looking pretty good. Getting better every day. It's funny just putting lights on here, cheap lights. It's like just a small job. This whole bench was clean this morning. I really don't know a lot about wiring at all. In fact, I was always scared of it. I'm in my 30s and I still don't know much about it and never really liked messing with it, and that's why one of the reasons I've always put these Chinese clone engines on, or these Honda clone engines on. Very minimal wiring. I mean, there's nothing really, they're pre-wired. That's why stuff like, you know, this old Simplicity scares me, because if something goes weird with the wiring, then you got to fix it, and I hate that. But it's also pretty cool having lights and a winch and everything, so it's not a bad thing to learn. I need a lot more random fittings like this. I need smaller ones, and there's a ghost in here. I need more fittings, and for the most part my tools work pretty good. Maybe some different gauge wire. So, but I got it done, so